Herb Eder, and I'm the Emeritus Chair of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Cal State East Bay, and I'm also a 52-year, with my wife Margaret, member of Temple Isaiah. So it's good to see familiar faces sitting in the front row here. I just want to give you the opportunity to get a hard copy of our Spring-Summer program. The Spring-Summer program is May, June, July, August, and we have, I think it's 17 courses online and about 15 or 18 courses that are offered at the Concord campus of Cal State East Bay out on Ignacio Valley Boulevard. And I know Rick's not here today, but he and I are taking a class on modern jazz, and it's wonderful. It's Miles Davis to the present, and so we're really excited about that. If you're interested in taking a course or coming out to the campus, I invite you to do that, and I'll be happy to give out anybody like a program. I'd be happy to get it. The guy who gives it, Rob Joy, amazing. Anybody else need this?
Thank you. Okay, and next I'm going to invite Joy up, I guess, to talk about some wise ones out and about briefly.
Hello, I am Joy Plummer. I am Assistant Director of Engagement here at Temple Isaiah. I have met all of you now, I think. I just want to tell you a little bit about Wise Ones Out and About. We've had a fantastic year of programming going out into the Bay Area. We've been to San Francisco, we've been to Oakland, we've been to Walnut Creek a number of times, doing fun things, getting on BART, taking tours of gardens, taking tours of backstage at the Lesher, going to a museum. We're having a great time. We've gone to a couple of museums, actually. So what we have left and coming up for this year and then starting in the summer, also on May 30th, we have a tour of Blake Garden in Kensington. And we're going to bring our own lunches and then possibly have lunch in the Blake Garden and also take a little walk through the Carmelite Monastery there. In June, we're going to have a picnic at Arlen Bloom's house, which is like a park-like setting, to celebrate our year. In July, we're going to start our year over by taking a tour of murals in the Mission District of San Francisco. We're still working on getting that set up, and then we'll have some lunch. And in August, we have only 15 slots, but we're going to take a tour of the vet hospital at the Oakland Zoo. We have lots of fun programming. We have lots of fun together, but it is meant for the people who are able to get out and walk on uneven ground and you know, so it's pretty active, but we really have so much fun. I hope you will all join us. If you ever have any questions about anything going on here, you are welcome to find me and I will get you connected to the right people. So very good to meet you all, and thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks, Joy. Joy's been here now a year and a half. Very lucky addition to us. So The announcement I want to remind y'all about is that Tuesday night next week is our annual meeting, and you can participate in person. You can come have dinner and then vote and listen in person, or you can participate online on Zoom and vote that way. So if you're a member, please plan on being here for or online for the annual meeting. It's my first one as past president, so I get to kind of MC the meeting instead of worrying about having a speech. I just get to move it along, so it's kind of nice. It's here next Tuesday. The dinner will be in there, and the meeting will be in here. Dinner's at 6. I think the quorum starts getting called at 7, and there's been a couple emails that have come out, or you can go look on the website, and it's also probably in the Shavua Tov that just came out on Sunday and the one that will come out next Sunday. They're doing Zachary's for dinner. Zachary's Pizza. Any other? Well, that sort of depends on how many questions people ask. I mean, I would say mine were usually about an hour. But if somebody's really feisty and they have lots of questions or they want to be argumentative, you know, we could be here till 3 a.m. No, I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, next month, Wise Ones in June 19th. We're going to watch that fabulous movie, One Life, with Anthony Hopkins, and we're going to watch it in there. And the difference is we're going to start the movie at 11:30 because it's almost 2 hours long. So we invite you to come and bring your lunch, and Jan and I are going to have some movie snacks also, popcorn and candy, whatever. And we're going to hunker down. Nathan's going to help us set up the TV in there, and we're going to watch a movie. So if you'd like to come, we'd love to have all of you to come, and it'll be fun. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited. Some of you may have seen it, and if you have, you're still invited to come and see it again. Anything else? Yes Fund? June 9th is the Women of Isaiah Yes Fund Steep to it. Steep to it. It's a tea party. Okay, so today for prayer, for our opening prayer, well, this is Noga. I think most of you know who she is, but if you don't, I have had the pleasure of having Noga live with me since January, and it has truly been my luck to have Noga with me. She's a wonderful young woman from Israel who is doing a year of service prior to enlisting in the IDF after graduating high school. She's been here since August, a couple more months, and then she's going to go back and enlist. And so I thought it was appropriate to do the prayer for Israel today, being yesterday was Independence Day and whatnot. So I'm going to let Noga read it or say it in Hebrew.
אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. הגן עליה באברך חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. ושלח אורך ואומתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך. ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה. ונאמר אמן.
And in English, because I can't speak that way as well. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And we all say, Amen. So what we envisioned for today with Noga is she's been presenting a lot lately. She spoke at services last Friday night. She also had a class yesterday that was really good about some beautiful songs about Yom HaZikaron and soldiers who had passed. And today, instead of making her prepare a presentation, we thought we'd do kind of a Q&A. So I have some questions to ask, things that I think are interesting that she can share with you, and then you can ask questions. And instead of me running around with a mic, I'm just going to let you ask them, and then I'm going to repeat the question for the mic so everyone can hear it, and then Noga can answer. if that feels okay. Hi, Noga.
Hey.
Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the program and how you got into it, because I was fascinated by that. I also want to say because I want to also talk about where she lives. When Rabbi Perlman took a group of us to Israel in 2022 in the fall, we went to Israel. We visited Noga's home, her moshav, and gosh, I guess you could have been there when I was there.
I probably was.
And so I'm going to have her talk about that a little bit too. But anyway, why don't you first tell us about the program and how you got in?
Okay, so the program is from the Jewish Agency, and a lot of people in Israel have a year of service. Do we have a train here?
I think
Okay.
somebody's phone is ringing.
Oh.
It's okay.
It's fine. So, a year of service is not something that is rare in Israel. A lot of people have a year before the military to go volunteer, and they usually do it in shelters for like kids and moms and families that need, and like boarding schools for like foster homes, and they usually like there are a lot of places that you can do year of service inside Israel, and this year of service is different because we do it here, like outside of Israel. So there is about, let's say, 180 kids or 2,000 kids every year that come abroad to do year of service. So it can be here in the US or in Canada, and some in South America, and we have a group in Europe and Australia and stuff. And so they really send us everywhere. And you start the process 2 years before you actually go on on your year. So I started at 11th grade, and I knew I wanted to do this since 7th grade, since my homeroom teacher, she told me about her daughter doing a year of service in Spain, and I don't know, I knew I wanted to do that. And I kept it in my head, and when I was in 11th grade, I started the process. So it's just everything you can think about. Like, you start with like forms and group. They check your English, and they check your how you write activities, and how you talk in front of an audience, and how much you know about Israel's, like just general knowledge about Israel and the world and Jewish community and Judaism. And they don't have, like, a lot of years, like a lot of groups that take kids to do year of service have a really specific way of, like a really specific idea of what kid they want to do the year of service. So those are like specific kids that some people wouldn't fit into this mold. But the Jewish Agency makes, like, there are a lot of kids there that are just so different. Like, I haven't met a lot of kids in my year. Like, there is 2,000 of us. I've never met a lot of them that felt like they are like me. So they make sure to bring a lot of people from everywhere in Israel, and they make sure that all of them would be different in opinions and in backgrounds, and I think it's good, it's nice. And getting in, it took me a year to actually get in completely, and getting in is something that I think the statistic is 1 out of 10 kids. So we started like, I think 6,000 kids that wanted to get in, and we ended up like 180.
In the States.
Yeah. No, just 80 in the States, and then
Oh,
I
80 in
think,
the States.
or maybe 100 in the States, and then 80 in the entirety of the world. So, yeah, and then after a year of like getting in, once you are accepted, you have another year of training. So they take you to seminars, and they have you like meet a lot of different communities in Israel, so you can talk about them and share about them. And they have you just like they had a class for us about how to act when you get invited to a dinner. So what to bring at the beginning, and how to talk, and to text back after the evening. Wow, it was so good, thank you. Like, they made sure, because they wanted us to be like, it's like, okay, the Jewish Agency sends a lot of people abroad to do a lot of different jobs, And we, as the youngest of the people that they send, we bring a lot of life. We bring a lot of, life is a good word, but they also want to make sure that we know how to act. And I know I'm appreciative of that. And yes, so after those 2 years, I'm here, and I'm almost done with my year. So it's been a really long process, but I'm glad to be here.
That makes me laugh because Noga does say thank you a lot. So now I know that they,
It's not because of them. Yeah.
this has been a special year, I know, for us to have you here, and it's been a hard year for you to be here. Noga's family is from a moshav right on the Gaza border. And some of you heard Noga speak October 9th and also a little bit this last Friday night and at other times. Can you tell us the difference between a moshav and a kibbutz?
Okay, so that's kind of hard. I think the difference now is not as pronounced as it was when those two ways of living started. Because when a kibbutz started, it was really like the most communal as you can make living. They made it. Like everything was shared, like the laundromat, and no one had their own clothes. And the money, like everyone worked, and then all of the money like collected in the kibbutz, and then they just handed out the same amount of money for everyone. And like everything was just really shared, and the kids lived together, and the parents lived separately from their kids, and it's not like that anymore. The only thing that kind of stayed the same is that there are some kibbutzim that the money just goes straight to the kibbutz, and then they hand out the same paycheck for everyone. So this is still something that is same, but because they originated differently, when a moshav started, it was just a group of usually farmers that decided that they want to have a joint community, but not in a way a kibbutz had it. So it was just like the fact that everyone were farmers and everyone had the same view of how they want their society to look, made it like a communal place, but not, it was just, those are just small places that a lot of people have the same work, and like everything is really small, so you get to know people really well. And a kibbutz started as a really, really communal thing, and now you can still feel like the effects it had. Like in the kibbutz I went to school in, Yad Mordechai, it's a great kibbutz. It's a kibbutz that was mostly funded by Holocaust survivors. So this kibbutz was, a lot of people still want it to feel like a kibbutz, but our moshav is just like, it was founded like 40 years ago, and it was just about like having a society that could support each other. So it's not as communal as a kibbutz is.
It looks like
If
a
it
regular
made
neighborhood.
sense.
I mean, it just looks like
It just,
streets with
like,
houses
Tiny.
and then it is small. And it was inside of Gaza, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was literally on the other side, and then when they pulled everyone out of Gaza, they moved the moshav back on the other side of the border.
So my moshav was inside Sinai instead of Gaza. It was like on the big like strip that we used to have of Egypt, and it was there. And after a few years, when we gave those lands back, we took like back, and the people settled there. So my family wasn't from the founders of the moshav, but a lot of my friends' families were. So they talk about that, and we remember them, and it's just like a thing that everyone kind of know. But we opened a new place there, and that's been my home. So that's the
It's
thing.
beautiful. There's a really big mural on, if you go to the edge of the moshav where the Gaza wall is, like we went there and you could see, facing Gaza, they've made this beautiful mural that's all about peace and love and harmony. And we think it's still there, right?
Yeah, it is still there.
Good.
So it's good.
Anything else you want to say about the moshav?
I like,
Your family is still not living there. No one's
yeah,
there.
no one is there because a lot of people came back to their houses that around the Gaza Strip, but our houses are really close by, and it's still super noisy there and kind of unsafe, and people are just not no one told them to come back, and people are just unwilling to come back too, so they're just not living there yet. They have an apartment now, which they're not living in a hotel anymore. And I don't know, just the community has changed, but it used to be a really great community before. And I know there was just like this harmony of everyone kind of knowing everyone that I really enjoyed. And it could drive me crazy too. Like everyone is in your business, and everyone's know who dated who and what happened to this guy. And it was just like it can be a big mess, but it's also like endearing. And I think, like in America, one thing that I was so surprised by is how much I don't care. Like I would go to the beach and I would take like trash that I see just floating in the water, and I put it in my bathing suit, and then I would throw it away when I go out of the beach. Or I would walk in the street, and if I would see like cans or stuff on the floor, I would pick them up and throw them away. And here I don't do that. I just don't care. I would walk in the street and I would say good morning to people, even if I didn't like them, and I knew a lot of them, and I didn't like a lot of them. But you just do. Like I would stop to talk to the woman that lives in like the corner house, even though I knew I'm late and I knew I couldn't do it, and I knew I just don't want to do it. But I would, because it's like good neighboring, and I did enjoy it in the end. Like I met. Never mind. She now lives in the same city my parents live in, and it's nice. It makes you kind of feel community. So just like I only appreciated, I wanted to live this place and like I just felt it was so small, and I wanted to see the world, and I never left Israel before, and I just wanted like having wider like places to see. And now I kind of miss the feeling that I had, not because of like the place itself, even though I miss also the place, just like the fact that I felt like I care and everyone else care about me. And I don't know, like I feel like that when I'm in temple, but I don't feel like that just in the streets of a city in America. So I think that's like a big difference that maybe can help you understand what it feels like living there.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone had ownership. So it felt like you were responsible for the trash or whatever else. What crops did your moshav grow?
So we have great flowers. We have everything is private, so it's not like shared. Like my parents are not farmers, so it's not shared by them. But it's like on the name of the moshav, so everyone knows what we grow, and you can walk there. Like my friends would walk there. I walked at the store. I wasn't farming myself. So we have flowers, a really big like industry of flowers that we make, and a lot of good fruits. So and I'm thinking about, and some kinds of nuts. And those are like the main trade stuff. We don't have livestock, so a kibbutz would normally have like cows and like goats and like horses and stuff. And Yad Mordechai has cows and stuff, and we don't.
How many of you know that cherry tomatoes were invented in Israel? Cherry tomatoes were put together by farmers, and like, you know, they grafted or whatever the seeds to make cherry tomatoes. And so the whole world eats cherry tomatoes, and they don't even realize that they're eating something invented in Israel.
Yeah.
We're very proud of our cherry tomatoes.
I'm so proud of that. Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question they want to ask? Yes. Okay, so the question is, how do Israelis observe Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, which are back-to-back holidays, and it was Sunday, Monday this week?
So this year is, as you can imagine, really different than past years. In past years, I was always in school, so we would wake up in the morning and go to school, and everyone wears white, and everyone is really respectful. It was a day that, like, no one tolerated people being disrespectful. And like in high school, it's hard to make people respect because they're just dumb high schoolers. And then we went to school, and every year since you're like in first grade, every year you do like ceremonies in school. So we have a ceremony. People read prayers, read notes that soldiers wrote before they died, read sing songs, and I would try to be part of those ceremonies. I was almost every year. And if I wasn't, you just sit there and you listen and you stand for the siren, which we have every, like for Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and Yom HaZikaron, we have a siren where you don't have to, you stand for 2 minutes.
Have y'all
just
seen those
to
on like
respect.
YouTube or where everyone gets out of their car? Like even on the interstate, the cars all stop, people get out of their cars and stand next to them. It's really cool.
So we would do that usually in school. So I was never in a driving car. When it happened, it's usually at 10 or 11 a.m. So it's in a comfortable time. And after that, we would usually talk a lot about, like inside the classes too, about soldiers. And especially when you get close to like your senior year, it becomes a lot more relevant because next year a lot of those people are becoming soldiers. And you talk a lot about the people that went to your school that died. So we had, in my school, at least 12, like the number grew by this year, but 12 soldiers and one civilian. She was a girl, but she died in a terror attack. So 13 people died of my school in different wars, and we remember them and we talk about them. And after that, you go home. When I was younger, my mom would make me take a nap. I hated that, but you go home and you just like stay in this state. You try to stay in this state of sadness, and at least for me, it was like that. And then in the evening, when the sun sets and everything, like everyone just kind of change their mindset. We go out to the middle of the moshav, and then we have silent fireworks because a lot of people in my moshav have like severe PTSD. So we have fireworks that are silent. We have every year we make a show, and the show is really personal because when you know everyone, you just make fun of everyone that you know. So we made a show. Do you know this reality show where there is a singer in a mask that you don't know who the singer is, and then they sing and then you guess? So we did that with people from our community. So like the owner of the store, we made him like in a mask and sing, and then we guessed. And it was just really personal. And then we have a group of dancers that dance like traditional Israeli dances. So they came up. It's little girls and like old women. So they dance together, and it's always so cute. And they dance on every like opportunity that we get to have them to dance. And then in the morning of the day, we probably just do barbecue or have like family around. So that's that. Every evening of Yom HaZikaron to Yom HaAtzmaut, we have a really big ceremony in Jerusalem that you might have heard of, like where they light, I don't know the word for that, where they light,
Like a memorial candle?
yeah, and then they just keep going, like they raise the flag up, we put it on the half of the stand, and then they raise it up and like make it from sadness to celebration. And this year my moshav was invited to attend, like be in the crowd, which is a big honor, and none of them came because they thought it wasn't a time for like moving from sadness to happiness. And so that was really different. It just felt like instead of one day of sadness and one day of like happiness, it just felt like an entire week of just like coming back to how they felt at the beginning of the war. So it wasn't the most celebratory
Yeah.
holiday.
We understand. I mean, that makes sense. Good question. Yeah, Martha?
Even though you're spending your year doing service, are you still responsible for serving in the military?
So I'm
there
going to
is-
just say it just so they
oh,
hear too.
yeah.
So she wants to know, Martha wants to know if she gets out of any, her year here eliminates any years of service in the IDF.
So first of all, no, I'm actually doing more years than I have to do. As a girl, I have to give 2 years, and boys have to give 3. And for me, I signed up as doing like the same service as boys do, so I give 3 years, and then I have 6 months of training that are not included in my years. So I'm doing 3.5 years, and this year is also not included in my years. So I'm giving around 4.5 years, 5 years to my country, which is okay for me. I don't mind it. I'm glad I can do that. But there are girls here that come from from the Jewish agency too, but just a different section of the year of service stuff, and they give 2 years. Those are usually Orthodox religious girls. They're so sweet. Like I met some of them, and they give 2 years of just volunteer work. So they won't enlist because of their religious beliefs, but they do just volunteer for 2 years, and then the second year of their volunteering would be here. So there is another way of doing that without a military service.
Yeah, Alan?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is about how is it decided what Noga's position within the IDF is going to be?
So when everyone turned 16 in Israel, you get a letter from the army that asks you to come to your closest, in enlistment place and just do some tests. So you have 3 tests done: one for physical health, one for intelligence, I think, I don't know, just how much you know, and then one of your psychological, how are you mentally, and then they take all of those 3 opponents in you, and they make a profile, and by this profile you know what jobs you're qualified to and what jobs you can't do. So I'm not qualified to any combat jobs because in my physical testing, I didn't turn out so good. They were just no, we won't let you fight because you don't have good enough physical stuff as is. We won't have you train you so you would be they don't want people that would be a burden on the combat side of the military. So they just wouldn't take people that already are not in the best physical state. So I was just, I don't know, I was too short or too skinny. They have weird stuff that they need you to do, and I have glasses, and I don't know, they didn't want me in the combat stuff. And then they make you have to see how much you know, and those tests can put you into places of intelligence work and behind the scenes stuff. And for the last one, they make sure that you are willing, that you are mentally well enough to enlist, and you don't, that you, being a soldier is not easy no matter what job you do. It's losing freedom of yourself. And a lot of people don't take this so well. You can't choose how to look, and you can't choose what to wear, and you can't choose what to do every day. And for 3 years, everyone tells you what to do. And a lot of people just don't take it well. So they make sure that you will take it good. And they also make sure that if you want to keep going in the military, sign and keep going after the years you have to have, they want to make sure they know it from the beginning so they can maybe put you in places that would be beneficial when you keep going. So that's also an opponent. And after all of those stuff, they didn't ask me as much. They were just, they offered me to try out for an intelligence job, which I did. I tried out. It was a lot easier than getting into this year of service, and I got into that. And they will always put you where they need you to be. But in the last, I would say the last 10 years, the military really tries to also put you in places that you would thrive in and that you would gain something of. So I'm a really languages and literature person, so they wouldn't put me in data analyst where everything is numbers and stuff. They really try to make it good for you. But it's a system that is so big that they don't actually care about every single person. And a lot of people do fall into jobs that they have nothing to do with. But the military is not about you. It's just 2 or 3 years that you give, and they don't have to be about you. So I'm glad I'm in a job that would be good for me, but it doesn't have to.
She told me that you guys know Ziva. Ziva had the same job Noga's going to have.
Yeah. I think
Pretty
even
cool.
in the same place. So
That's
it's-
cool.
Yeah.
Herb? So the question is, what was high school like? And do you plan to attend university, or what are your plans after the IDF?
Thank you. That's actually a question I haven't got yet. So, no, like a lot of people are really interested in the military, which makes a lot of sense. I'm really interested in the military, but just like high school wasn't always like a topic I used to talk about. So our high school is only 3 years. So you start at 10th grade and you end at 12th grade. And for those 3 years, you have to pick 2 majors. So you are already majoring in stuff. I majored in physics and theater. Hated every second of physics. I'm not a number person, and because I'm in a school that was in the outskirts of the country, the education wasn't always the best. I loved my school, but we didn't have a lot of teachers, just because no one would come and teach where we live. So we had just one physics teacher, and he didn't like me so much. And a lot of the teachers, something I loved about my school was that a lot of the teachers live where we live. So, like, my math teacher was my neighbor, and I would babysit her kids. And all of my kids in my grade, that their parents were teachers, including my mom, all of their parents worked at school. So one of my best friends, his mom was the school secretary, and she would give us like hall passes without we needed like something. So everyone, like, I was shocked at how much there is no distance between the teachers and the kids. So, like,
Did you call them by their first name?
of course,
Okay.
everyone calls their teacher by the first name. In Israel, even not in a school in a kibbutz. My school was in a kibbutz, and one of the teachers, I'll give you just an example. One of the teachers had a salad for lunch, and she put it on the desk, and she started teaching. And the kids that sat on the first row were kind of close to her desk. And one of the kids just took the salad, opened it, gave 2 bites, and he was just like, Orna, there is no salt in here. How are you eating that? And he keeps eating her lunch. And she's like, okay, I'll put salt next time. And I was shocked. But that's the way, like, that's the way you are with your teachers. And it turns out that a lot of those teachers were like people that now I find really dear. They're just like people I'm still in contact with. Like my homeroom teacher in high school, he did Aliyah. He's from England, and he came to Israel and he became a teacher. And he was just like our friend in a way. Like we had a lot of respect to him, but it was also like he treated us like adults, like grown people, which in years of high school you really feel like you want, like you really need this way that you would get treated like an adult, which we also, like I'm so appreciative of him. And so those 2 majors, everyone picks 2 majors because you need this for your like final like diploma. And then everyone also have to finish and get like a high school diploma, you have to volunteer. You have to volunteer every year, at least 60 hours a year. So it's not a lot. A lot of people do more than 60 hours, but it's just like another thing to like help the community around you. So I did youth movements, and I did shelters for animals because I like animals. And a lot of my friends volunteered in Magen David Adom, which is our version of Red Cross. And they've been like all of the Red Crosses, like Magen David Adom in Israel, ambulances are like set up where there is a driver that also has medical knowledge, a paramedic, and 2 high school volunteers. That means that half of the staff that would treat you in case of an emergency would be high school kids, would be 16, 17-year-old kids. And they've seen, like my cousin did this, and he delivered his first baby when he was 17. They saw people dying, and because ambulances in Israel are cheaper, significantly cheaper than they are here, There were also people that would order an ambulance because they felt lonely and they didn't help to like put socks on or help in the kitchen, and they would, like, I know that my friends would be really patient about it and would understand, and I know they, like, doing this kind of volunteering took them, like, they couldn't work. I worked throughout high school, and they just couldn't because it was just like a second job, but they never got paid for that. So half of the people in the ambulances are volunteers in high school. So that's like something I really love about Israel, how like the teens get a lot of responsibility. And there is another thing that you can do, which is combat training. So a lot of boys and some of the girls start training to the military from, like, I would say 11th grade or even before, like 10th grade. So that's also a thing that a lot of people do throughout high school, and they get like, so like it mostly develop their mind, their like determination, and they get through a lot of really hard tests and exercises, and so they would be prepared to the military. So that's another thing we do in high school. And for after military education, I think I want to,
Come back and live with me.
I was actually thinking about moving to the States for university, but with what's happening now in the universities, I'm not sure I want to. But I also would like to be a tour guide maybe in Israel, maybe in the Holocaust Museum in Yad Vashem. I think this subject is really, I don't know, it touches me in some place. So I want to learn about it, and I want to have people learn it from me. And I would become a teacher if my mom wasn't a teacher, and she was just like, no, stay away from this. You don't get paid enough, and it's a hard job. So I might learn to be a teacher in the future, but we'll see.
In Israel, becoming a tour guide is a very extensive process. You have to get like very certified and tested and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a good hard job. I think you'd be a great teacher too. But I think something Noga just said stuck out in my mind, which when you said you have to do 60 hours of service each year in high school, that's not that much. And that's such a different mentality than the kids here in the United States. I think kids would feel that that's a punishment if they had to do 60 hours of community service a year. And you're right, it's not that much, but like, it's just a beautiful mindset, and I think it is part of what makes Israel work so well, is that it gives you as a teen ownership and caring lessons and ways to make a difference in the world, and it's just part of what you do. And I think it's really beautiful. So I think it's a good thing that you do that in Israel. I think we should think about that. Maybe that would make kids a little bit less entitled here. Any other questions? Okay. Oh. Is there going to be an election in Israel?
I actually talked about this with a friend of mine not so long ago. There is only 3 ways that would be an election in recent years, because the next election is planned to, I think, in 3 years. Like, we have a cycle of 4 years elections. So one way would be that someone of the government would pull out, and then we wouldn't have enough people to make like a coalition, and then we would have to like redo that, which he doesn't think would happen. I don't know enough to say, but that's another way it would happen.
That's what happened last time.
That's what happened
When the
last
election
time.
happened in the fall of 2022, it was because the coalition fell apart.
Yeah.
We were there. Sherry and I were in Israel when the election happened in 2022.
There is another way that our Prime Minister Bibi would resign, and then we would have to find a new person. None of us thinks it would happen. And the third reason is the social pressure would be so strong that they would have to step down. I don't think it would happen too, because it's already really strong and no one is stepping down.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 ways that we might have election in the past, like before the next 3 years.
And even before the war, the
There was a
demonstrations
big-
in Tel Aviv were huge.
Yeah, like half of the country.
What? The war? Yeah. The war has complicated everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that from what I've read, and I think that most Israelis don't really support Bibi as a person.
After the war, especially, not.
Yeah. Other questions? Ricky? No? Noga, what are you doing this year?
Okay. So I haven't gone to school. I haven't been studying. I've been working in different places. So one of my main places is here in Temple. And I worked in another place, which is the JCC in Berkeley, the Jewish Community Center. Here, I've been doing everything with the kids. So I did the preschool, which is awesome and great, and I love them. They're so sweet. So I was with the preschool in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, I was doing JQuest. So I usually taught, like in JQuest, they have classes by subjects, and I didn't have my own class. I would just go into every class of JQuest and teach them about Israel and about like relevant stuff and stuff I learned in school, and I really enjoyed having those stuff. So I would go and do like an hour in each class every week, and in Sundays I would teach Hebrew to the same kids, and for the evenings I would have Noor Nights, which is the teen program. So they start in 8th grade and they finish in like 12th grade. So I would have, in Noor Nights, I do have a class. I have the 8th grade class. And I would teach them every week. Sometimes I would go around, like I would find someone that sub for me, and I would go to the other classes too. And that's for the temple people. And for the Jewish Community Center in Berkeley, I work in the preschool in the mornings too. And it's just a preschool and an after school. So I would work in the after school, and I would teach a lot more Hebrew in the after school than I do in Temple. And a lot of like special holidays and stuff I would do there. So it's kind of the same work, just a lot of different kids and maybe a different mentality. The Jewish Community Center in Berkeley has a different view of teaching than the temple has, which I respect both of them, and I like having to like do stuff differently every time I teach. So that's that.
Noga works Monday through Friday, including Monday evening she has a meeting, Wednesday night she teaches, and then she's off on Saturday, and Sunday she teaches JQuest and Midrashah Sunday night. So she's been working 6 days a week, pretty full days. Jewish Agency also give all the kids a car, which is helpful because she drives all over the place.
Yeah.
And also just note, CCJDS has a Shin also.
Yeah.
So Noga hasn't been at CCJDS because there's a separate person there. So there, BB had an interview this morning, which neither one of us has seen because we were here. And BB says everyone agrees with going after Rafah and Hamas. Do you agree?
I don't think that in Israel everyone agrees about
Anything.
the sun shining or when it's night. I don't think everyone agrees, but I do think the public's mind is my mom. Like my mom is the only person that talks to me about politics. So my mom is really torn up about. Everyone thinks that the hostages are in Rafah, so they are thinking about that in a sense of, okay, so if we have soldiers there, we might find hostages, which my mom is kind of skeptic about, which I understand. And she's mostly concerned about the fact that we keep losing soldiers every day. And going in there would just make us lose more soldiers, which is horrible. And I know, I think a lot about the soldiers because they're my grade, they're my age, they're my friends' friends or my friends or people I don't know but would be my friends if I knew them probably because we're the same age. and just like I think everyone kind of knows that it's something that happens, and they hope for the best. They hope that we would find the hostages and could pull out and end this war. But I don't think. I think there is just small percentage of people that believe that this would like hit their spirit and crush Hamas. I think most of the people believe that it would be in diplomatic ways, but I don't see how we keep going in diplomatic ways because they won't accept anything but, I don't know, the entirety of Israel or a lot of released terrorists. So just, it's like, people are torn up, but people are mostly concerned by the soldiers' lives, which is understandable.
Yeah.
I know, like
Does Noah speak any languages besides English and Hebrew?
So we learn Arabic in school. It's literature Arabic, so I know how to read a book. I have no idea how to talk to someone. When I worked in the grocery store I worked in the kibbutz in Yad Mordechai. When I worked in the grocery store there were a lot of Palestinians from Gaza that came to buy stuff when they are coming back to Gaza, because they have like work permits in Israel. So I know how to say, how much is that? And that's where the honey is, and that's where the bread is, and that's where the coffee is. But I don't know Arabic enough to like know Arabic. And my father did Aliyah from Morocco, so I do know Moroccan, but just to talk with my grandma. Like she has this mix of Moroccan and Arabic and Hebrew, which I do understand. I can't talk to anyone else. So mostly no, just Hebrew and English. But that's like the extended answer.
Well, that's a great question. So tell us a little bit about your family, your immediate family.
Okay, so I am the first person in my family to do this program. I'm the oldest. I have 2 younger siblings, which my sister Shira, she's 15, and my brother Ariel, which is 9. He's going to be 10 in August, and I just love them a lot. Like I think COVID made everyone that had to live with people make them really close to their family. I think being in a house with them for 3 months and not living made like a big change. I remember we used to fight a lot before COVID, and after it was just like, I love them a lot. I really like my siblings. My sister is so hard-headed. She's the most like determined person I've ever met. She's in a good way. She's sometimes. She is so. Okay, she when she was 12, she decided we are an Orthodox family, but we're also like Orthodox in a way that my dad is just like, oh, I can't believe people that don't keep Shabbos. And I'm just like, you don't keep Shabbat. And he's just, no, but I'm in the mentality of Shabbat. They put music out loud. And I'm just like, you drive to the synagogue. And he's just like, but my knee hurts. I can't walk there. So my family is really like, we're religious in a sense that we feel really religious and we less act religious, but we are Orthodox religious. My sister decided at the age of 12 that she is religious and she's going to do everything she can. So she started going to Bible studies and she is observing the Shabbat and holidays, even though none of the people in my family really does. Like we do, but we do it less. Like we will watch TV after dinner, but we wouldn't watch TV on Shabbat day because it's just like not sacred. I know, we have weird rules. But she became really Orthodox. And my parents didn't always like that because it makes it hard to live when your daughter decides to do something that is really different from you. You have to like adjust for her. And she just never stopped. And like a girl at the age of 13 just doesn't touch her phone for the entirety of her weekend because she believes in that. And she won't go see friends unless they would come over to our house because she can text them. And she just has this great sense of, I know what I want and I believe this is true, so I will do everything I can to make this work for me. I don't know, she just amazes me every time by how much she knows what she wants and how much she can do what she wants. And she moved to a boarding school this past year, so it's a farming boarding school. So she's farming in the morning and then goes to school in the.
And it's religious too, right?
A lot of the people in it religious. The boarding school itself doesn't define what you are. Like they don't say anything. Just like a lot of her friends from there are also religious. So she really found herself, and I'm glad for her. So she has this place and this boarding school, and she likes working the soil and having like farming experience, which I'm glad for her. No, I like it too. And my younger brother is 9. He's really crazy. I showed Julie some videos he sends me. He's special, but I really love him. Like, we have 10 years between us. He's 9 and I'm 19. So I remember the day I was born, and I remember every day since. And I would play with him even though I was just like 15 and I didn't feel like playing with dolls, but he was 5 and he wanted me to, because I knew I would leave home like at this age, and I knew I wouldn't be coming back. I'm going to the military and then just having my own life after that. So I knew I wanted us to have like memories of me playing with him and living with him. So I consciously gave a lot of time to be with him, which I think is paying off because he remembers me even after 9 months of not seeing me. And he's 9, so it's just like a difficult age for him.
And it's 12:59, which means we need to wrap up because some of you have to go. But I do want to say that you are a delight, and she also is very strong in what she believes. So you think that about your sister, but I see in you a woman who you have very strong opinions, and you're proud, and you're stubborn, but not in a bad way. Like, you believe in what you believe, and I think that's going to serve you really well, and I think that's going to serve your country really well. And we are going to be proud of you doing that, although I'm going to miss Noga really badly. So if you need to come visit me after June 9th, please do, because Noga will be gone, and then I'll be sad. But thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and all of you.
Thanks, y'all. This was really fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.